Obviously, we have worked really hard to right the ship after an inauspicious beginning against Fresno and really worked on improving defensively. I think we've done that, obviously, by evidence, by the points we've been giving up. This will be our biggest road challenge to date. Chelsea, who will join me shortly, is playing at really an incredibly high level. I don't know that I've ever coached an athlete that had 3 triple-doubles, let alone 3 triple-doubles in about 2 weeks. I anticipated we'd have a bit of a letdown against Nevada, and we did. Doesn't make it right, but we did. We're a little bit sloppy, uncharacteristically for ourselves, but Chelsea really just kind of put us on our back in the second half and made sure we were going to win the game. Albuquerque, I think, as you well know, is one of the best women's basketball environments in the country. Coming into this week, I believe they were number 2 in women's attendance. We have 3 great venues, Wyoming, Fresno State, and New Mexico, that really, really support women's basketball to the point of where on the weekends they always offset. So everybody's going to drive in from wherever and watch our men's game and doing what they do when they're watching that men's game. And then they're going to roll over to the pit about 6 o'clock. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see their biggest crowd, which will be upwards of 10,000. I think that, as great as the environment is here in Viejas for our men and as they go on the road, the challenge with our older players isn't the environment. The challenge is it's usually so easy for me to communicate with Chelsea or Ajale and them to communicate with our team. And in the first half, when your team's going away from your bench, there's no communication other than Chelsea's eyes and ears because of the environment. They are a true 6 player, which we embrace. It's a lot more fun to play and not hear yourself and play in that kind of environment, but I think we'll be challenged. They also are a totally different team than a year ago. They're young, but they're athletic. They play with great speed. They're going to get better and better, so it's going to be a challenge.
Coach, after 5 conference games, have you noticed any significant differences in the conference this year compared to last year, or is it pretty much?
Well, I think a year ago, UNLV was kind of the favorite coming in. They were the only team that had 5 returning starters that were really good and had a great non-conference, as did us. Everybody else was young, and probably more importantly, every other team in the league last year had a first-year point guard. Our first-year point guard just happened to be better than the other first-year point guards, and I thought that had a lot to do with what we were able to do a year ago. Everybody is better. We had very few graduations last year other than UNLV. UNLV lost a ton to graduation. Everybody else has, several teams have their entire starting 5s back from a year ago. So they're better. They had a summer to get better and to understand more what they need to do. So I wasn't surprised. I think we were 2 games in and everybody had lost. Whereas last year we went for quite a stretch before we took our first loss, as did a couple other teams that were at the top. It's what are we, 5 in? It's a long way from being settled.
Coach, have you noticed any differences with that team since the Mountain West Championship?
With which team?
With New Mexico's team.
Oh, yeah. They have an entirely different team. They have returning. Carolyn Durbin is, I believe, preseason all-conference pick. Justifiably so. She's a really, really talented small forward. We had a lot of really talented small forwards in the league last year, but everybody around her is new. So she has a freshman point guard, transfer from Texas Tech starting at the combo, who I believe is just a freshman, like a redshirt freshman. So they're a lot younger around her. New Mexico executes like no other team in our league, and they don't yet because they're freshmen. I mean, it used to be the easiest scout in the business. They would do exactly what they were supposed to do with very little slippage. With that slippage comes better athletes, more creative people, and you can't just key on Durbin. If you take last year, if Durbin was in single digits, you were going to win. They have 4 people in double figures, so it's a totally different team. And excited for their fans, as their fans are, because Durbin's really the only significant senior, so they're going to be good for years to come.
Coach, I'm sure you've seen their practice facility they have down there, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you've seen the one in Vegas.
I haven't seen that one.
It's it's pretty nice and
Right.
Mexico. What does that bring to a program? And there's been talk of building one here.
Well, we're gonna get it here because we have great supportive people who understand. So it's always been a matter of private money. It was never, well, this league or that league, or it was going to be, we are state university. So a project like that gets put through if people are going to build it. And I'm confident in the people that, are invested to make it so. What's the difference? The difference is on a day like today, when we both have to go at the same time to catch a plane, that we don't have to go to Peterson Gym in the rain. The biggest difference is the year-round access for your athletes to shoot. The year-round access. Basketball is a year-round sport. You have 2 hours a week in the summer where you can work with your athletes now. You've got to, a great player wants to play. And on a campus like ours, the arc isn't enough, to get it. We have a different size ball. You got to be able to get in and play. So to have our men and our women who both aspire to be consistent top 25 programs, it's not a bells and whistles. It's a fact. We're going to shoot for, the one benefit of Peterson Gym is it has a lot of hoops. So what do we always do when we go to Peterson Gym? We shoot a lot. We shoot a lot of free throws. We shoot a lot. When you're practicing in Viejas, if you're not one of the people that are playing in the 5-on-5, you can't shoot free throws. There's no floor space. So I could go on and on as I usually do, but it's going to be exciting, and I hope that Coach Fisher and I are here when it happens.
You're obviously taking care of the ball pretty well. How big a factor does that come into play given a night like you had against Nevada where you didn't shoot particularly well? And how much has that come into play during the course of the season so far?
Well, it's one less thing to worry about going into a game. I mean, we've done, and Chelsea would tell you that she didn't play well in the first half the other night, that she turned the ball over some, and we got credit to Nevada for how they came out and made us do things. But we are, Chelsea is a fifth-year, not even a fifth-year senior. She's in graduate school, and she's really talented, and she understands and is very good with the ball. And a very good player makes other people better. And part of turnovers come when you give people the ball in the wrong spots. That leads to something. She gives people the ball when they can do what they do best. And that's what separated us a year ago. We were really young. We weren't a great scoring team. We didn't have great balance, but we O-boarded, we defended, and we didn't turn the ball over. So we started the year, we have a lot of different parts. So we turn it over more now than we did a year ago, but I think we're improving, and I would think we'll continue to as this new group gets used to playing with each other, and she gets used to playing with different people and giving to people in different spots. It takes time.
Chelsea, could you just talk about your recent play and just how you're the first player to, in Mountain West history, to get 3 triple-doubles?
Honestly, I feel a lot better. A year ago, I was coming off knee surgery, and I credit my elevated play just to feeling healthier. Like, my knees are a year from, the last surgery, and I feel really good, and I'm just trying to play with a lot of confidence and do whatever I can to help the team. And everything that I've done now is stuff I felt like I was capable of doing last year, but I physically didn't have the body, the legs to, go out there and chase down rebounds like I try to do this year. And, I've always been a good passer. That's always what I pride myself on. So, the assists are coming, and I just feel a lot stronger and confident in my legs. And I think a confidence that I didn't have last season, which has definitely changed the way that I played this year.
Her nickname was C-Hop, and last year she was C-Little Hop. And now C-Hop got her hop back. and that's a huge difference. I mean, when we were recruiting Chelsea, I showed her a stat sheet with Q Davis. And I said, you need to understand something. Q Davis played with Paris and Jessica Bradley and Allison Duffy, really good forwards. She was our leading rebounder because that's what she did. She got in there and let all those bigs smack each other in the head, and she'd get up there. She was quick off her feet, had length, and got high. I said, you're going to do the same kind of thing. We never send her back. Some people send their point guard back. We never send Chelsea back. So her ability to do that, I mean, I'm just echoing what she just said, is I think it was more her frustration last year when her mind, she was the same player, but we know what it is. It's called old age. It'll eventually happen to you again when you think you can do something and you can't. But I think she's really coming into her own.
Is that something you're always going to look for in a point guard? Just send somebody that blasts like that instead of getting back?
Well, everybody's different. You know, with Ajale Harvey, we're not going to do that.
Right.
She's got great speed, but she's a little bit, you know, Chelsea's strong too. She's got good strength. So you figure it out and you play to your strengths. But I personally think that when you can get a great rebounding guard, like Gabby Clark very quietly is one of the best rebounders in our league. Everybody's focused on this and that and the other, and she goes to the glass constantly. And I think having that constant attack helps us. People can't get out. They've got to box out our guards. So I think it's something we work on, but then if you got somebody special, you just let them go. You know, you just play to it.
So these triple doubles are no coincidence, I guess. Is what I'm saying.
Well, if he said the only time in history, I think we have to say that, you know, I think it's a special performance, but I would tell you it was funny. Chris Ello, who does our games, after the game before Nevada, which is, at this point we've played so many games I can't even remember. Oh, the Wyoming game. I can't remember Chelsea's stat line, but it was something like 14, 8, and 7. And Chris was like, wow, what a pedestrian afternoon for Chelsea, you know? I mean, when she played such a good floor game, I think for those of us that are around her every day, and her teammates would tell you, that's what she does. So it's not a surprise to us that she's able to do it. And I think as she continues and as our team continues to get better, you know, what she does is she makes teams better. It's not like she's just going off and we're running plays for her. She makes everybody else better. And when somebody who can pass that well can score, it's a tough out.